We moved into that house because we were desperate. Our old apartment lease was ending. We had just lost out on two other rentals, and this place, even though it seemed a little too cheap for its size, was available immediately. My wife Claire and I knew it needed work, but it was temporary. 6 months, maybe less, until we found something better. That first day, the realtor gave us the keys and quickly went through the basics utilities. Trash day, that kind of thing, but when I asked about the door under the stairs, he paused for a second before brushing it off. "Old utility closet," he said. "Painted shut. Owner said it's nothing. Just keep it closed." At the time, we didn't think twice. The house had a lot of quirks: squeaky floorboards, flickering hallway lights, and a constant draft we couldn't quite locate, but nothing we couldn't live with. That first week, we were busy unpacking, settling in, getting used to the creaks and groans of an older home. The only thing that really bothered me was the smell near that door. It wasn't strong, just a faint, sour, earthy smell, like wet wood or something rotting deep in the walls. I tried spraying air freshener around it. Didn't help. Claire thought I was imagining it until one night she walked past and said, "Okay, yeah, that's weird. Did something die in there?" I reminded her it was just an old closet, like the realtor said, but it kept bugging me. What kind of closet smells like that? I tried to open it softly at first, then harder, but it wouldn't budge. A few nights later, I had this dream. In the dream, I was standing in front of that door and I could hear whispering from the other side. Not words exactly, just hushed tones, like someone was breathing just behind it. I chalked it up to stress. We were still adjusting, still living out of boxes, still eating takeout every night. I didn't even tell Claire about it until it happened again this time. I wasn't asleep. It was around 2:30 a.m. I'd gotten up to get water and passed the hallway, where the door sat in shadow. I swear I heard something on the other side. Not voices exactly, but a light shuffling, like feet dragging across wood. I stopped and leaned in closer, thinking maybe a raccoon or rat had gotten in somehow. But the second I pressed my ear to it, everything stopped. No sound, nothing. I stood there for a few seconds, longer, before backing away slowly. I didn't sleep the rest of the night. I didn't tell Claire because I didn't want to freak her out. But a couple of days later, she brought it up herself. She was in the shower when she swore she heard footsteps outside the bathroom door. Heavy ones. She thought I was coming in, but when she peeked out, no one was there. And I've been downstairs the whole time. That night, we heard it together, like someone had dropped something heavy on the floor behind that door. We both froze. Claire looked at me and said, "You heard that, right?" I nodded. I grabbed a flashlight and went over to it, tried the handle again. Still wouldn't turn. The next morning, I went down to the town hall and pulled the original floor plan. That's when things got really strange. According to the old documents, there was no closet, no door. That entire section of the wall was supposed to be solid, built into the support structure. I came home with the paperwork and showed Claire. She didn't say anything at first, just stared at it. That night, she made me sleep with the bedroom door locked. Over the next few weeks, the house started to feel wrong. Our dog, a big golden retriever named Max, started growling at the hallway every night. He'd plant himself in front of the door and just stare, low growls rumbling from his throat. Once, he even barked and scratched at it, like he was trying to get something out or keep something in. We started having electrical problems. The hallway light would flicker nonstop. The bulb above the closet would burn out no matter how many times I replaced it. Like the air in the hallway was thicker, heavier. One night, we came home late after dinner out and found the front door wide open. Nothing was missing. Nothing broken. But Max was cowering under the couch. When I checked the hallway, that sour smell was stronger than ever, like something had died behind the door. That was the night I decided I had to get it open. I waited until Claire went to bed and grabbed my crowbar. I told myself I'd just crack it open, see what was inside, seal it up if needed. I wedged the bar into the frame and pushed hard. For a second it didn't move. Then something gave. The door creaked open just a few inches, and the smell hit me like a wall. Rot, mold, something older, like wet dirt and something long dead. I shined the flashlight in, but the beam barely penetrated the darkness. I could just make out wooden steps leading down. It wasn't a closet. It was a staircase, leading somewhere. I felt this wave of nausea and fear so strong I almost dropped the light. I don't know how long I stood there, but Claire found me like that, just staring. She said my face was pale, like I'd seen something awful. I didn't say a word. I just closed the door and told her we were leaving. We packed up and stayed in a motel for the rest of the lease. The inspector said the staircase led to an old cellar that had been sealed, off decades ago, long before the house was renovated. When they finally opened it fully, they found signs of old flooding, mold, and something else, scratches, deep ones, on the inside of the door, like someone had tried to claw their way out. They didn't find bodies. No ghosts, no explanation. But I'll tell you this, no one rents that house now. It's still listed, still technically available, but it's been empty ever since. And I still wake up some nights thinking I hear the door creak open. Just a little, like it's waiting for someone else to try again. We moved into that house on a cold Monday in February. The kind of day where the sky stays gray even at noon and the air feels too still. It was me, my wife Rachel, and our 8-year-old son Caleb. We've been looking for a fresh start, something quiet after a rough year. The house we found was about 40 minutes outside Pittsburgh. An older 2-story, colonial tucked into a wooded lot with a long driveway and neighbors spaced far apart. It looked peaceful, normal, but within 24 hours of living there, we realized something was very wrong. It started small. The first night while unpacking, I thought I heard someone walking upstairs, but when I checked, no one was there. Rachel was in the kitchen, Caleb asleep on an air mattress in our room since his bed wasn't built yet. I figured it was just the house settling. Old homes make noise. That's what people say. But the next night I woke up to the sound of breathing. Not mine, not Rachel's. It was deep, just outside our bedroom door. I sat up and listened. It stopped when I turned on the light. Rachel mumbled in her sleep, unaware. I got up, checked the hallway. Nothing, but the air felt heavy. Almost charged, like right before a storm. The third night, Rachel said she heard whispering coming from Caleb's room. I told her it was probably him talking in his sleep. But when we checked, he was silent, completely still. His room was freezing. That same night, we heard the front door open, loud, clear, like someone had walked in. But it was locked. We searched the house top to bottom. Nothing. We started keeping the lights on in the hallway at night. Something we hadn't done since Caleb was a baby. By the 5th day, even Caleb noticed something wasn't right. He said, "Dad, the man in the hallway keeps waking me up." I tried to stay calm. Asked what man. He said, "The tall one." I don't like his face. I didn't want to scare Rachel, but I felt sick. That night, I slept with my phone recording audio on the nightstand. When I played it back in the morning, around 2:47 a.m., you could hear footsteps. Then a whisper too low to make out. And then Caleb saying softly, "Go away." But his door never opened. He never left his bed. The whisper came from inside his room. I didn't show the recording to Rachel right away. I wanted to understand it first. I checked all the vents, thought maybe voices carried from outside, but we live in the woods. No one walks out there at 3 a.m., then came the scratching. Soft at first, like fingernails under floorboards, then louder behind the walls. We called pest control. They found no signs of animals, nothing. The guy said the crawl space was clean. But Rachel started crying at night. She said she kept waking up to a man standing in the corner of our room. Tall, shadowy, just watching. She said he never moved, just stood there until the sun started rising. I started staying up late to watch over her, but I never saw anything. Until one night I did. At 3:11 a.m., Rachel started murmuring in her sleep. I turned toward her, then saw him. Not clearly, just a shape, darker than the dark, in the far corner of our room. I swear my blood turned cold. I couldn't move, couldn't speak. I blinked, and he was gone. The next morning, Caleb wouldn't come downstairs. He said, "The man says we're not allowed to leave yet." That was the breaking point. I called my brother, begged him to drive over and help us pack. That night, we planned to leave. Rachel and I stayed awake in the living room, every light on. Around 2:30 a.m., we heard it. From upstairs. A loud crash. We ran to Caleb's room. His bookshelf was tipped over, his books scattered. He was sitting up in bed, crying, pointing at the closet. "He's in there," he said. "He's mad." I opened the door. Nothing, just hanging clothes. But the room was ice cold again. I looked at Rachel and said, "We're leaving, now." We drove out before sunrise, left half our stuff behind. We stayed with my brother for 2 weeks while I found a new place. When I returned to that house during the day to get the rest of our things, I brought 2 friends. We packed quickly. But before we left, I walked upstairs one last time. Caleb's room. The closet. And written on the inside of the door, scratched into the wood, were the words, "You woke me up." I never told Rachel. I just burned that recording, deleted everything. But I know what happened. Something was already in that house. Something old. And I pray that whoever moves in next never wakes it up again.